So with that, I want to talk a little bit about Jalen Milroe and what he offers, and frankly, why he was able to beat Georgia last year in the SEC championship game, but also how he has grown since the guy that got benched after the loss to Texas to the guy that became, I thought, what Jaden Daniels was last year. He was becoming that guy where he could make it happen any way you wanted it. And Kirby Smart had a great quote. It was, you can be right, dropping everybody. You can also be wrong, dropping everybody, because you never know what Jaylen is going to do. Just a walking, talking, explosive play is what he looks like. But we talked about this a little bit, and I think you've actually been way ahead on this. Guys that are, shall we say, strong in the upper body and play quarterback, for whatever reason, they got a hard time making a layered throw, which I think of as an intermediate throw. But if you want it to go 70 yards, Jaylen will do that with his legs or with his arms. So what do you see when you look at Jalen Milroe that might make him elite?
I see a really good college quarterback who's playing with a ton of confidence, right? Jalen Milroe drops back every time, and he has complete conviction in where he's going with the football. He's also paired up with a really good offensive coordinator, Nick Sheridan. Like, Nick Sheridan is doing a great job in terms of scheming guys open and giving Jalen the confidence that, like, when he gets to the line of scrimmage, he has a really good idea where he's throwing. And, like, so I went through the tape. Like, I'm looking through the tape. What I see over and over again is like Jalen making throws to the first read in the concept, which is a really good trait. Like, to be able to do that and be that accurate when you do it, like, I got to tip my cap to that. But it's two things. It's one, great job by the play caller, great job by him. But now I want to know, how's he going to respond when that guy's not open, right? What are we going to do when number one isn't open? Is he going to be able to work through progressions and still find a completion? Or is he going to just take off and use his legs? Like, his legs are great, right? He can make a ton of plays there. But I think that you stress a defense out to the highest level when you can do all three things, right? One, be able to attack when your first read is open, throw a strike, push it down the field. Two, work to your check downs and get to completions like in the intermediate depth, right? The layered digs, the basics, the stuff you're coming back to. And then three, if none of that's open, use your legs. I want somebody to be able to do all three, but I look at the tape, right? And it's just littered with like first read throws. And they're really good throws, but their guys are getting open and he's putting the ball where it needs to be.
Can you give me an example of what you see?
Let's check it out. All right. So let's get into this play here. We get a they go unbalanced, right? So they got 4-by-1, three receivers here. We got a tight end here in the back of the pistol. And this tackle happens to be eligible on the other side. So we got 4-by-1. We're gonna explode, right? And what they're figuring out here is, hey, we're getting some form of zone coverage, right? We got zone, we motioned, we exploded. No one ran with the tight end, so we're pretty clear on what we got. Now we're going to motion over. So we motion over, we see that we get this down safety, and now we're able to throw a strike on the other side, right? Because we get to work away from rotation, puts his foot in the ground, and throws a strike, right? First seam. Like, he knew where he should go with his eyes. He got to work away from that safety. He puts it on the wide receiver who's running that seam. And if we look at it from the front angle, actually what we're going to get in college. So we look at it from this angle, and you just get to see him like process information. All right, I get to check my eyes to the safety, foot in the ground, ball. Like, that's really good quarterback play. It's really good quarterback play, really good ball. But are we like working through the progression? Are our eyes going somewhere? No, we're not seeing any of those things that I think are going to be important as the season goes on, and especially as we play somebody like the University of Georgia. Now, this situation is different. We go empty set. We get matched up here. We got a corner here. We got a linebacker here. So we got a tight end on the outside, wide receiver here. So we know, like, he came out, I get double press. I know that I'm getting man-to-man coverage with the middle of the field safety. So safety's in the middle of the field. I know that there's only so much width in which he can cover. So he's alert. I know what to do. Foot in the ground. He drops an absolute gem of a football Receiver didn't break stride. Receiver didn't have to turn his hands over. That's essentially a handoff. So it's another great throw by Milroe. And those are the things that I think that he does like really, really well. He knows where he's going. He plays with conviction and he throws really accurate footballs. Those are great traits for a quarterback. But when he comes to situations where he has to work the progressions, what is he going to do? Um, I'm hopeful that he's done the work this offseason where he's going to be able to do those things. But that's my only concern with him. He's a tremendous talent. He's throwing the ball really, really well. He looks really confident. He just hasn't been challenged in a way where he has to do the things that I'm looking for me to like take a quarterback to the next level of evolution.
I'm already thinking about how I might defend somebody like him, right? That's what I'm seeing there is if you give him a clean picture, he is going to make the right read. So how do you make sure the picture that he sees post snap is not the one that he saw pre snap? And then this is the Jalen Milroe part. Just because I know I beat this play doesn't mean I know I beat Jalen Milroe. And that's what you're talking about, right? You're talking about a guy that he'll just tuck it and go. I think what you also are stressing is at the NFL level, you're not going to be able to do that. You're going to have to get
Just
to 2 or 3 or 4. How
it
do you
just
teach a guy
doesn't
to get
happen that
from
way.
2 to 3 to 4?
So we're gonna have to put first. He has to be in some situations where he actually has to work through it, and he's not getting enough of those. But then it's just like, am I confident in my ability to do that? Like, let me just see somewhere. I have to get my eyes there, and I think it's probably one of the most difficult things to like teach somebody to do, because there's limited situations. Now in practice, he can come up over and over again, but practice is not necessarily like the game. I feel like you can understand the situations a little bit better in practice, be confident in what's going on, and be willing to make mistakes. Now it's a lot more difficult when you're as athletic as Jaylen, and you actually don't have to make those mistakes. Let me just run rather than put myself in a bad situation.
I want to throw this at you before we move to Carson Beck because I think we're on a pretty good. You're teaching me right now. So you can learn this stuff just by being thrown in these situations. You might see them in practice, but practice is practice, and some guys just don't practice well. Some guys play well. I'm also curious about the helmet technology now, where we got the coaching be able to talk, I think, until 15 seconds left in the play clock in college. If you're Nick Sheridan, how much of this is you should see X open here, or we have this in here so that you can throw the ball to XYZ? Because I saw this really talked about when the Patriots played the Rams in Super Bowl, and Patriots come back and win that game. And it was a lot of we're going to wait until that headset technology goes off, and then we're going to make Jared Goff do this himself, and he couldn't do it. Is that am I speaking out of school there when we're talking about Jalen Milroe?
So, like you're saying, I don't know exactly, what they're teaching them or what's going on there. A lot of the times, the way that I see it in the NFL, right, or guys that I've worked with in the NFL would be, hey, we're gonna run train right, uh, Z sail, X shallow, whatever. Right. And they're gonna be like, hey, let's make sure that we're alert. Hey, we get quarters here. Be willing to take a shot. Right? Things like that, like little messaging that can allow you to go to the line of scrimmage and be aggressive and have a thought process when you get there. Not so much like, hey, this guy's gonna be open, because guys have gotten into trouble when it's like, hey, this guy's gonna be open. I can tell you, like Josh Dobbs. Remember when he went in that game for the Minnesota Vikings, hadn't really gone to practice. That was a situation where Kevin O'Connell would literally just walk him through the play. Hey, this is a lot like this play that you may have ran before, right? Just telling them things like that. So usually you're not going to get somebody who's like really going to coach you through the play, but they're going to give you like, hey, be alert for this. Hey, it looks like we're getting this here. But when you tell guys like, hey, this should be open, that really messes with you, because you'll find guys like holding on to it unless you can be absolutely sure. If you're absolutely sure, go ahead. But if you can't be absolutely sure, it puts quarterbacks in a difficult spot.
I love that. I love that for a lot of reasons. The first one is I get to see this kind of played out in the UFL where they always got the headset on where you can hear people talking. And sometimes it is just that. Or sometimes you get Steve Spurrier on the sideline, which is, and this time tell him to catch it. Like it's one of those. Like, so you can get some gems there, but I love this Kevin O'Connell, Josh Dobbs example because I was late to this. And I was late to this because I'm like, what are y'all talking about? This is one of the best pieces of quarterbacking and coaching you've ever seen. And then I was made to understand he don't know nothing. They just throwing him out there. And Kevin O'Connell is asking him to pick this up in real time. And I'm going, I don't have it like that, dog. I'll be like, 4 verts? Yeah, but maybe not here. You know, that's what I'm going to be. I'm just going to be locked up. And you're going to end up holding that ball like you talked about, as opposed to just seeing what you see and then letting the ball go. I want to talk a little bit about Georgia and that offense and what Mike Bobo has put in place with Carson Beck, because it's a different player than the first 2 that we have seen, right? Taylor Green, Jalen Milroe. One of the reasons they are attractive to offensive play callers is I might be wrong. I might get this dead wrong, but they're going to make me look really good because they can run away from people. Carson Beck doesn't really have that. So it feels like what he has to do is what we might call quarterbacking. However,